So the activity we're going to do today is making Christmas wreaths. The Christmas wreath I like to make is made out of all natural material. So the first things first, if you are going to forage for some foliage, which I'm going to show you how, you want to make sure if it's in private land, in someone's garden, that you get their permission first of all before going cutting. If it's out in the public land, then choose wisely and do it responsibly. Only cut what you need. What you want to have is some nice sharp secateurs. You want them to be sharp so that the cut that you actually make is nice and clean. And this helps the trees and the bushes continue to survive without getting any infection or any disease into the cut that you've made. Okay, so for your willow wreath you really need some willow. Start off with, you want to look for somewhere that's a bit wet, a bit damp, because willow likes to have its feet in sort of soggy ground. And what it tends to do is put out lots of straight, lovely new shoots every year, even from branches that are coming out on a horizontal. They'll put up lovely vertical shoots, and it's those shoots that you're kind of looking for. Okay, so here is a willow branch, and as you can see, if you follow up my camera lens here, going all the way up, those are the lovely whips of willow that we're looking for. They'll be nice and bendy, lovely and supple, great for shaping into a circle. Let's have a think about the green stuff that we're going to put on our willow wreath. So there's lots of lovely evergreen foliage all around our areas here in North Ayrshire, and you just want to choose whatever suits you. Here we have a little bit of yew. This is a lovely bit of pittosporum, and it really appreciates a cut and will actually come back thicker and bushier every year. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. I've never used it in a wreath before, but it looks pretty. We've got some ivy growing up the tree here. I'm going to take a little bit off this, again just a little, because the ivy is a great nesting home for lots of little creatures. Got some lovely holly here in the hedgerow. A nice healthy little holly, but it's very small. And you can imagine if two different people came along here and cut just even two small branches off of this, there wouldn't be much left. So I'm not going to cut from this. Tree that's actually blown down in the recent high winds and been cut to clear the path, and then the material has just been set to the side, and this is ideal to take because it's obviously not going to grow, but it's still green at the moment. There you go. Nice. Okay, so what we're looking for is our willow, which we have correctly identified and cut, and we've cut the longest, nice slim stems that we can get. What we're wanting to do with these is make something similar to this. Now, this just has 3 stems of willow within it, and already we've got a nice, strong and solid hook. You want your secateurs and your scissors. And it's handy to have some twine or string or raffia, anything that you want, anything that you've got hold of that you can use to wrap in your circle. First of all, take your first long whip of willow. And you can see it's incredibly bendy. But to make sure we don't snap it, we want to just use your thumb to gently push up, bringing it down with your fingers. And we do that to try and create a circle, okay? So we're just slightly teasing all the tissue within this lovely whippy stem to get it into a shape without it snapping. If you use really thick bits, you will find they don't tend to be quite so whippy. So try and get some nice thin lengths if you can. So you want to start by making a circle. Okay. So there we have a little loop. It's not very robust at the moment. If I start trying to wind over that, it might just come out. So if I was you, I'd put a little knot in it just to get started. So I've got a little bit of string here. I'm just going to tie this together and then take it off later on. So I like to leave the bits quite loose so that I can still get access to it. So that's one wee bit there. I'm going to tie one end and then the other end. And that just helps to keep the shape going whilst you get your next bit of willow on. Okay, so it doesn't look too much like a circle, but don't worry, we will get there. So just keep sort of gently teasing it into the shape that you want. So that's your first one. Then pick up your next bit of willow and do the same. So gently teasing it into a circular shape. Gently pressing up, not too hard or it will snap as well. There we go. Now, this is a bit where you're going to introduce your second piece. Now, you can have a sort of messy hook if you want, and that's by just putting it in any general direction that you like. I tend to be a little bit tidier than that, and I like to keep all my willow weaving in the right direction. So to do that, take a look at where your last piece was. See the thick end here? So the thick end is just coming underneath. So I'm going to move along first of all. So I'm going to move away to about halfway between my two joins, and I'm going to stick my willow in and under the same way it is there. So in and under, and I'm going to hold it. And then holding it tight if you can, you're just going to weave your willow through. Okay? And we weave. Right. Bring it to the front and put it through the back. And pull it tight. Bring it to the front and put it through the back. Bring it to the front and put it through the back. Okay? So there we've got another one. Don't worry about the wee bits sticking up. We can capture these later on. Get another whip. This one's quite a thick one, and be very gentle with it. Just gently squeezing it until it takes a better shape. There you go. So obviously the thinner and the longer these are, the better they are for working with. So that's that. And the same goes again. So there was my piece that I put in. It's coming out to the front and then going into the back. So I'm going to come out to the front, in through to the back, twisting it round and popping it in. And pulling it down. Pulling it to the front, pop it in, and just move it round. Again, front to the back, front to the back, and then just keep going until you get rid of that bit. First you've got 3 on. You just keep going. Don't worry about any of these big bits. Okay, so what you want to do now is you take your secateurs and you cleanly snip off your thick ends that you can't weave around any further. And the best way to do it is taking the big flat blade, lie it nice and flat against your circle and cut. So you're kind of cutting at a nice flat angle like that. Okay? And just go all the way around and just tidy it up. So now we need to decorate it. We need to start putting on some foliage onto our Christmas wreath. So I have all my greenery sitting here, so it's easy at hand. And to actually attach it, you can use all sorts of things. You can use fishing gut, you could use florist wire, you could use gardening plastic coated wire, or you could use gardening twine. I like to use a gardening twine because this is compostable. To make it easier to handle, you can use a little round piece of wood. This was just cut off a piece of timber that had fallen onto the ground, the branch came off in the wind, and it's just a nice hand grip size. To do is we cut a length of our twine and we roll it up round here, and it makes it much easier for wrapping around our wreath. So I'm just going to do that just now. Hiya. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie one end round my willow wreath, and that's my starting point. I'm going to make that nice and tight, little knot, like that, and just tidy that off. So this you're going to wrap round, and it can be quite footery. Sometimes it's nice if you've got an extra pair of hands to hold things, but you're going to wrap it round your foliage to hold it on. So what you want to do is get a piece of foliage and make it into a little kind of bundle. So I'm going to use a piece of this. Where's my secateurs here? I'm going to use a piece of this. That. I'm going to add in a little bit of my laurel leaf maybe. And a little bit of sporum perhaps. Even some of this, which I can't remember what it's called. Call me a gardener. There you go. Right, so you've got a little bundle. Okay, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie it on top of my string there, and I'm going to catch it with my string. So, there you go. This is a footery bit. Put it over, hold it tight. Pull it over, and do it again. You want to keep this rolled up nice and tight so you're not having to sort of spread your arms out too much, and pull it tight, okay? And that's my first little piece here. I'll do another one now. A little bit of yew, a bit of ivy, okay. And I'm going to stick a little bit of my blooming. I do love blooming, but nice brown. And there's not a huge amount. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lie that on top like that, just with a slightly different angle of it going in towards the hook. So the easiest thing to do is to hold it, put your string over, hold it, pull it underneath and through. Okay? And that's my second dirty tie. I'll do my third one. So, last little section. Greenery, bit of lushness, Cool. I'm going to make this bundle quite thick in a way because it's the last wee section, and I want to add in my pine needles. I've got something there. Not all of that, but there you go. Like that. Have a little look, see, looks okay. Right, so I want to just kind of feed it so they merge together somehow, and then twine in between the pine cones there. Over. Pull it nice and tight. Over. Pull it nice and tight. And then I'm going to go in between some of the vegetation here, just so I can get a real good grip on the stuff that's on this side. Over. Okay, so that's that. Now what I want to do now is cut it and tie it. This is a bit of a tricky bit. I'm looking for a bit of the twine that comes round from the other side and knitting it together. And wrap it round one more time if I can. And do another little knot. Oh. Rain started. It's gone quiet in this area. There we go. Right, trim that off. Okay, so this gives you a chance to have a look at it now. So we've got kind of crescent shape. This is where I'm going to hang it up. Got a crescent shape going on, got a nice little bit of foliage down between. And if you happen to see little areas where you think it's baldy, like I think that bit there is baldy, I've got plenty of string. I'm going to feed in some bits and pieces. It's kind of footery and hard to show. I'm really just sticking in this little bit of greenery to try and hide my bits of string. I think that looks a little bit better. It's really easy to manipulate your foliage actually. So just keep playing with it until you get a look that you're happy with. I'm relatively happy with that. And what you can do now to dress it up, as I say, I like to keep mine nice and natural, but you can. For instance, if you've got some spare baubles from your Christmas tree, a little bit of string, add these on somewhere, anywhere can add a little bit of bling. Like that. Put them on and about, and you just look like huge big berries. And also, there we go. I have lots of ribbon here, and most of this is sort of saved and rescued. You could do lots of different things with your ribbon. You could wrap it round if you want to, dress up your willow wreath, or you could just use it nice and plain and simple, tie a little knot, and use it to hold your wreath up. If you wanted to, you can do a bow, and my breaking ground guys will know I'm rubbish at making bows, so I'm not going to attempt one on video, but you could put a bow here and you can have your ribbon hanging down in the middle. You could add little battery lights if you wanted to. You could do all sorts. So that's my Christmas wreath, and I hope you can go out and sensibly and responsibly collect your foliage and your willow to make your Christmas wreath, so that you can hang it up on your door front this year. We're going to be making some kits to give out to the breaking ground guys, and hopefully we'll have a little Zoom session where we're going to do it live together. Another little thing I was going to say, yeah, as part of our Christmas Advent campaign, the Ranger Service will be putting up lots of videos or sheets with activities for you to take part in since you're all at home this year, and keep your eye out for them because there's going to be lots of lovely stuff coming up.